If the legendary fruit kept in King Harald's castle vault is indeed the same as the Fruit of Nika, then the events that unfolded in Elbaf 14 years ago take on a far greater significance, lifting the veil on a hidden face of the world government's power. It's clear that Imu-sama was not oblivious to the threat this fruit posed. She had precise intelligence, likely gathered through CP9's espionage, revealing that King Harald was safeguarding a dangerous legacy deep within his fortress, a legacy capable of resurrecting the sun god once again. This explains why she sent the supreme commander of the knights at that time, Garling Fararland, accompanied by only one other knight, to Elbaf, following a consistent policy of dispatching the commander and a single knight to the Giant's Island. This strategy repeated later when Shamrock and Gonko were sent to capture Loki. Shamrock's surprise at the school clearly showed it was his first visit to Elbaf, just like the other current knights, none of whom had prior knowledge of the island. This strongly suggests that King Harald had no direct ties with the Holy Knights. On that dreadful day, dreadful, as Loki called it, Garling confronted the king, offering to surrender the fruit if his kingdom would join the world government's protection and be granted a seat among the Marijoa kings. King Harald refused, sparking a fierce battle. Being one of the ancient giants, Harald's power was overwhelming, beyond what the knights could control. That's when Imu herself intervened, casting a magic circle in the heart of the castle and transforming the king into a demonic form, much like what she later did to Dori and Broji. Harald lost control, attacking his own soldiers, who had no choice but to defend themselves. Chaos erupted within the fortress. By Imu's command, Garling sneaked into the vault, took the fruit from its box, and handed it over to a CP9 member, most likely their leader, Hoshigaki, ordering an immediate departure. It makes sense to conclude they arrived at Elbaf by ship, since the magic circle currently in the castle did not exist back then. It was created later as a result of Imu's intervention and the king's transformation. After CP9 left, a new conflict ignited, between the knights and Imu on one side, and Loki and Jarl on the other. Later, Skopper Gaban and Shanks joined the fray. As the battle escalated, Imu and the knights retreated through the very magic circle she had drawn. Once Imu withdrew and stripped the king of his demonic power, Harald collapsed, dying from multiple wounds inflicted mostly by his own men, including Loki, who still didn't grasp the whole truth. In the aftermath, Loki rushed into the vault only to find the fruit missing, a great legacy of Elbaf that must never be lost. To preserve the honor of the giants and the king's reputation, Loki decided to shoulder full blame, spreading the lie that he had killed his father and stolen the fruit. Meanwhile, Shanks realized the world government had taken the fruit Roger had instructed him to find and deliver to his son Ace. Setting sail with his crew, Shanks pursued CP9, reclaimed the fruit, but kept it aboard his ship for 2 years. Torn between returning it to Elbaf or fulfilling his captain's final wish, the fruit remained trapped on the ship until Luffy came along and ate it, unaware of its true nature, as if the will of Nika had chosen its rightful heir at a moment not just unplanned, but destined. And if we closely examine what Shanks said in his conversation with Gaban in the previous chapter, he mentioned meeting King Harald in Marijoa and intending to discuss an important matter. However, the setting wasn't suitable for that discussion, which led him to travel to Elbaf to continue the conversation there. Most likely that matter was none other than the Fruit of Nika, which King Harald kept locked away in his castle vault. The world government fully understands how dangerous this fruit is, and Shanks knows its true value given Roger's will. But Shanks' arrival on the island coincided with a tragic moment. The catastrophe occurred, and the world government stole the fruit before he could meet the king. Faced with this, Shanks made the decisive choice to immediately pursue them to retrieve it, realizing that any delay could mean the fruit would be lost forever. On the other hand, Harald, despite his diplomatic attempts and trip to Marijoa, never intended to surrender the fruit. He held onto it as a sacred legacy of the Elbaf people, refusing to give it up for any tempting offer, fully aware that the fruit represented more than just power. It was a symbol, an extension of the dignity of an entire nation. This brings us to a crucial question. Why didn't the Holy Knights themselves transport the Fruit of Nika to Marijoa, even though they took it by force from Elbaf? The answer, overlooked by many, lies in the unique nature of the Knights' teleportation through magic circles. The Holy Knights traveled between locations using these magic circles, as shown on multiple occasions, such as their sudden arrival in Elbaf and appearances inside the castle without needing ships or traditional transport. But the Fruit of Nika is no ordinary object. It might be protected by a spiritual barrier barrier, or a powerful demonic seal, or perhaps ancient world government laws prevent it from passing through magical gates. Therefore, the knights couldn't transport the fruit via the magic circles and had to hand it over to the CP9 unit, which is officially tasked with physically transporting sensitive items to Marijoa.